Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. So in today's video, I just wanted to give my 2 cents. And there's a conversation that's brewing in the community right now about how the Eagle Bearer is, such a powerful weapon and it needs to be nerfed and all of that stuff. And, I'm very much against nerfs. In fact, if you go back all the way through the Division 1, there's never been a time where I've ever said anything should be nerfed. I don't remember seeing it. Instead, I have fought on my videos against, creating opposing views and opposing arguments against even content creators that suggest that, anything should be nerfed or slightly tweaked in a game. Now, this video is not to attack, it's just to, provide a counter argument. And so that's exactly what I'm going to do. A lot of the other content creators are actually pretty cool. I'm actually pretty cool with. I enjoy all their content. I'm an avid watcher of pretty much almost anybody that does the Division or the Division 2 content. So not attacking anybody. That's not I don't really care for any of that crap. But instead, I wanted to just provide my own line of reasoning. And so I just recently got the Eagle Bearer, and, I'm really excited about the weapon. I'm probably going to be running that thing every time. My P416 is going to have to take the back seat for now because I've actually been running that P416 since like the moment Title Update 5 dropped. I mean, it's a 496 gear score weapon. And so if you guys remember a few weeks ago, I did a rant about the P416, discussion about how the weapons guy with the Division 2, Frederick Thailander, said, it's kind of, he insinuated in a series of tweets that it was kind of, much more easier to nerf an outlier than to go rebalance, a lot of other weapons and a lot of other missions and all kinds of other things. And yes, it is the easier route to take something and just make it, worthless. But that is not the best route to go, because that is always at the back end of that is usually disappointment to the community and people who've actually worked to actually get these items. I played a number of raids before somebody finally even dropped this Eagle Bearer for me. And, I'm going to be running other raids to look for Eagle Bearers for even some of the guys that are in my own friend circle. And I want them to have an Eagle Bearer as well, just because, other guys were actively searching for that Eagle Bearer to also drop for me as well. So I want to really extend that, pleasantry to my other buddies. And so the Eagle Bearer provides something for us to play with. But let's look at some other weapons that, exotics. Let's not go even into the regular weapons, but let's just look at some other exotics. So when I critique the Diamondback, yes, my build was not probably the right build to run the weapon with. And, just having looked at the weapon and looked at how it actually works, I see that the developers do not want to make rifles powerful in the game or powerful enough to compete with, other weapons within the game. They want to just tone down rifles and keep it in like this box where it's kind of something where you think about twice before you use it. Now, understandably, rifles were very powerful and almost, were more useful than, marksman rifles themselves. So, reigning in the rifle class seemed to be like the smartest thing to do at that point. But then they nerfed the Merciless, which some people say, it was actually, too broken and all that. And I can, whatever it is, I don't know. I didn't use the first Merciless. So by the time I got the Merciless, some people had already started calling it the Worthless. And so it's things like these that actually make the game really weird, because think about the benefits of those who enjoyed the first Merciless and used it to be able to burn through content, and then I have to now climb, an overhaul in order to get a different version of it, which is not going to be as effective in its use. And so if they nerf the Eagle Bearer, a lot of people are going to be getting it, and they're not going to feel the enjoyment and the benefit which this weapon actually provides. And then you have something like, the Diamondback, which I still think is an underpowered weapon. As much as, everybody says, the weapon is good and blah, blah, blah. I don't see anybody running it in serious missions or in raids. Nobody touches it. I mean, as much as, everybody was saying, this weapon is actually good, it hits this amount, it's still very, very much underpowered because it has only 5 bullets in its chamber. That's it. That's the one thing that kills it. And so for an exotic, they could have made the weapon far better than it needed to be, especially the fact that, this came with year 1, episode 1 content. You could just imagine free update raid weapon is much more powerful than, year 1 content exotic weapon. I mean, if you look at it, there's just a huge disparity there. So first of all, they need to look at the other exotic weapons and they need to go ahead and buff them. I mean, if they're good the way they are, but they could use a little bit of a, nudge in the area of power. Like if you look at maybe your Sweet Dreams. Sweet Dreams is, mainly the exotic that, you can use for your quick reloads and all that good stuff, especially now that they're increasing shotgun damage. Well, they already have increased shotgun damage. It's an opportunity for them to make the Sweet Dreams the exotic shotgun that everybody wants to have, and not just the exotic shotgun that people can just say, well, I have the Dodge City holster, so what's the need for the Sweet Dreams? Go ahead and look at some of the talents and find a way to tweak that. Take the Diamondback and make it the exotic of the 1887, 1886 or whatever rifles, and give it a 7, 8, 9, even 12, rounds in its chamber. And now we're talking, and then make it something where the Diamondback, starts to mark every enemy that is on, that's within range, because this Diamondback, sure, its marks are good, but the thing marks RC cars and turrets. I mean, what threat do those things pose when there's a heavy in front of you, shooting at you, and then an RC car is marked to receive a crit hit from your weapon? It just really spoils the fun. I know it provides for many people, and most of my really good friends, it provides a different way to play. But that is just all that it is. But when it comes to playing serious missions, raids, where you need to output massive amounts of damage, that weapon is going to sit in the stash. It's just the fact and the reality. The only time I've seen that weapon in a raid was when we were playing discovery mode and everybody was messing around and I was running Tip of Despair and we were running all kinds of, just kind of fun builds to kind of see how things go in that direction. So if you focus on the one weapon that is actually well made as an exotic, that actually has people, even people who don't necessarily care to do the raid are looking and thinking, man, it would be nice to have a weapon like this. Even people who are no longer playing the game still refer to not having the Eagle Bearer. In fact, listen carefully to one of Marco Styles' Destiny videos. They were joking around and somebody poked fun and said, Marco still doesn't have the Eagle Bearer. That's how much of a resounding presence this weapon has, that people still talk about it. Even though they've somewhat abandoned the Division game, they're still referring to how good this weapon is. And yet the consensus, for some anyways, is that it needs to be nerfed in PvP. No, I don't think it needs to be nerfed at all. I don't think it needs to be touched, because I've gone into the Dark Zone with my P416 and my friends when we didn't have an EB and we got shredded and melted. And when I got my Eagle Bearer, I didn't go into Dark Zone to go look for anybody's trouble. So the truth is, even if you nerf the Eagle Bearer, PvP players are still going to find ways to make the most powerful builds in the game and still frustrate people. And so that's just what this game has to deal with when it comes to the side of PvP. It's not, the game excels very well in doing so much good in PvE. It's just that the PvP side doesn't know where it fits. This has been the resounding and has been just the theme of the entire game, where things have been nerfed and nerfed just for the sake of PvP. And these developers, they always come in with the nuclear option, the easiest option, and you will give them ammunition because they're going to be working on another raid and another exotic. God forbid they go touch this Eagle Bearer instead of working on bringing out a better exotic that's just going to top the Eagle Bearer. Then they look and say, well, why don't we just nerf the Eagle Bearer under the guise that is too strong for PvP, and then bring out another exotic that's going to be something else that we're chasing? It's a very dangerous place to actually tell these developers for the Division to nerf something that people have worked so hard for. There are people playing 40, 50, so many raids and have still not gotten an Eagle Bearer to drop, or have still not found somebody to drop an Eagle Bearer for them. All their effort is going to be thrown in the trash if this weapon is even reduced by 1 damage, not even by 1,000, by 1 damage. Instead, what needs to happen is that other exotics need to be looked at. It's going to be a very small school of weapons. It's not going to have to deal with the other, weapons that are already present in the game. It's going to just have to deal with that small school of weapons, and they need to be buffed. They need to be made strong. I'm not saying that they need to be on par with the Eagle Bearer. The Eagle Bearer is raid exclusive. Raid is supposedly the most difficult content currently, whatever, but at least let the other exotic weapons compete so that there is a diverse number of exotic weapons that are usable. Right now, most of the exotic weapons are just sitting in people's stash, or they're just, you know, in a sense, set in one specific area of their builds, whereas the Eagle Bearer is more versatile. Allow for the other exotics to be more versatile, and you're going to see a good competition in the dark zone. Right now, it's just because the developers usually like that. They put something new for everybody to be chasing, and so people chase it down. Anyways, I really want to emphasize much more on something like this, but I have fought over the course of the lifespan of this game against, you know, these nerfs. I mean, I can name them. The Nimble holster, one of the best holsters in the Division 1. A content creator said it was too powerful. It needed to be nerfed. Something that had been in the game for years. All of a sudden, the developers take an axe and chop this thing off because somebody was running from wall to wall and healing and they could not land a shot. Terrible, terrible, you know, suggestion. But the developers listen to some of the things that we say. And so we have to be careful to not give them the ammunition that they need. They need to do the hard work. We already paid them hard-earned cash for this game. If they nerf this weapon, it's going to show truly something that they probably do not want to tell their community right now. And, you know, sure, they may have some of the cards right now, but they need to remember there is a future, and game developing firms, what they do is develop games and sell games. So they need to be very careful with that. I always have to say it, the customer has got to be happy. Thank you very much for your time and your audience, and I guess I'll see you in the next video. Peace.